Hello, dear students. I'm Dr. Govind Saraswat, Assistant Professor in English from Government College, Decana. Dear students, today we are going to analyze a very famous dramatic monologue, My Last Touches, written by Robert Browning. Browning was born in 1812 and he died in 1889. He is a major Victorian poet and a contemporary of Alfred Lord Tennyson. He is known for his intellectual vigor and his psychological insight of human nature. Victorian age is an age of doubt and skepticism, but even amid this atmosphere of doubt and skepticism, Robert Browning kept his robust optimism. The characters in his poetry, they uh, they uh, reflect this optimistic philosophy of Robert Browning very uh, in a very different manner. Suppose there is a character who says that I am a fighter, so one fight more. I was ever a fighter, so one fight more, the best and the last. And the one character who is old, but even then he is very much optimistic, and he says, "Grow old along with me. The best is yet to be." And many more examples can be taken from his poetry. My Last Ride Together is another example where a person or the speaker of the poem, he celebrates his own failure, but because he feels that there is something even in that failure which which can be the source of his happiness. So every character, when they lost something, but even then they feel that they have something which can be taken to be a symbol of their victory. They hope, they keep waiting for the change. And most of the poems are in the form of dramatic monologues. Robert Browning perfected this form of poetry. My Last Duchess is the story of possessiveness and the consequent murder. Written in the form of a dramatic monologue, the speaker is an Italian duke of the Renaissance period. The listener is a messenger who has come with a marriage proposal, and we are exposed to a multifaceted examination of the act of murder. The Duke's possessive passion for collecting objects of beauty, his sense of refinement, and aristocratic pride do not only contrast with his cruelty and material greed, but also provide in an uncanny way the explanation for it. Within just 56 lines, the characters of the Duke, his dead wife, and the period are delineated very skillfully. So I have divided this poem into two parts. So let's begin with the first part. That is my last touches painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder. Now Farpendol's hands worked busily at day, and there she stands. Will it please you sit and look at her? So before I explain this poem, I want you to imagine a picture in which this duke is standing with that messenger who has come here with the proposal of marriage. So they are standing, and the duke is indicating towards a painting, and he says to that messenger that this is the picture of my last touches. This picture is painted in a very wonderful way, and that gives an impression as if the Duchess is alive. It is a wonderful piece of art uh, which is painted by Fra Pandolf. He took his whole day in painting this. So The result is in front of us. So then the last line suggests that the Duke is allowing the messenger to sit and have a look towards that picture. The or the clear meaning that these words suggest, um, that meaning has been narrated by me. But what is hidden behind these lines is different. This shows male dominance because uh, he allowed a friar to paint his Duchess. Then he allowed only one day so that the painter may not get any chance to be familiar with his wife. Then uh, he shows his authority in allowing the messenger to sit and then have a look towards that picture. We will discuss many more things. Then he says that I set Frapp and Dolph by design for never had strangers like you, that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. But to myself they turned, since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you, but I, and seemed as they would ask me if they durst, how such a glance came there. So not the first are you to turn and ask thus. When he allowed the messenger to sit and have a look towards that picture, then he, the Duke, he knew he knows beforehand that what would be the expression of the messenger, because the picture contained something which uh, evokes the curiosity of the beholders. There is a depth and passion and a spot of joy also in that picture, in the face of Duchess. So they, if they dare, उसने ब्रैकेट में कहा है, if they durst, then they uh, seem to ask me how such a glance came there. But this is perceivable only when I draw the curtain aside. Though this suggests that even after the death of the Duchess, Duke is showing his possessiveness. He has drawn a curtain over the picture or the painting of his Duchess. And when he wants someone to have a look towards that picture, only then he draws that curtain aside. And after the perusal of the picture, the messenger, if he dares to ask, then they suggest through their gesture how such a glance came there. So Duke says, you are not the first to turn and ask me this question. Okay, I will answer you. Sir, it was not her husband's presence only. You might have thought that I was present there, and that was why she was blushing. So it is not so. It was not just the presence of her husband that caused that spot of joy into the cheeks of my Duchess. It may be possible that the painter Frappendolf has made some slight comments, and because of that the lady may might have blushed, like he might have remarked her mental lapse over my lady is just too much, that the mantle means the cloth, that cloth is covering a large part of her wrist, so she should have exposed her wrist a little bit more. or it might have also might have been the possibility that the painter, he might have said, paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half flush that dies along her throat. So the Duchess was very beautiful, and the painter might have commented that I can never hope to reproduce even the half of the beauty that the Duchess possesses. Her throat is so white in complexion that there is a reddish hue that dies along her throat, but I cannot paint that kind of beauty. Although I will try my best, but even then it is not possible for any artist to create or to reproduce such a beauty in his or her art. And because of that, she might have blushed, and the spot of joy appeared in the cheeks of my last Duchess. But very soon, he he the Duke shows that that stuff was courtesy. She thought and was enough for calling up that spot of joy. The painter, Fra Pandolf, he might have commented this out of courtesy, and the Duchess should have taken that those comments of the painter in a very light manner, but that was not so. She blushed, she smiled, but that was not needy. That was not necessary also. She had a heart, how shall I say? Too soon mad glad, too easily impressed. She liked whatever she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. So, here in these lines, the Duke is trying to prove his point of view regarding the character of his Duchess. He is trying his best to prove that he was right and the Duchess was wrong in her behavior or in her nature. But we can feel who was right and who was wrong. He is accusing his Duchess कि she had a heart, उसका एक दिल था. कैसे बताऊँ मैं कैसा था? Too soon mad lad. She can be impressed very easily and very swiftly. And she liked whatever she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Her looks went everywhere. It means whatever she will look at, she will be pleased with that. So there should be some discrimination between the ordinary and special things, but that is not so with the Duchess. She becomes very happy even with the perusal of ordinary things also. She can be impressed very easily. She becomes happy very swiftly. So she should have shown her dignity in selecting the things and then to feel whichsoever of those things may impress her, and she should have shown the like feeling for that, but that is not so. So in this first part we can feel that Duke is very possessive. He has drawn a curtain over the painting of his last Duchess. So even after her death, the Duchess is under the influence of his cruel husband, this Duke who is sometimes identified as Alfonso II of Ferrara. Then he is very authoritative in his nature. He allows the messenger and makes a show that he is courteous enough to treat him in a royal manner, but the messenger is throughout under a spell of fear because the Duke is very moody. He he may change all of a sudden, so he is simply doing his duty. He has come up with the marriage proposal of his master's daughter, and and the Duke, with Meanwhile, the Duke he will suggest in an indirect way everything that he has in his mind so that the messenger should convey everything to his master. So, this is all about the first part of this poem. In the next lecture, we will discuss the remaining part of this dramatic monologue, My Last Touches. Thank you for listening me carefully.